Hi everyone, so welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make your project ready for the deployment. So I already created an entire playlist for deployment of Node Express project in AWS server. So I will talk based on that. So here you can see my project which I deployed in my AWS server. Okay. So let me tell you first, you don't need to follow the exact same thing that I have done so far. Okay. So you can do much better than me. Okay. But there are certain few things which you need to follow in order to make sure your project is also working fine in AWS server. All right. So obviously the first thing, you can keep a folder structure like this. Okay, so I will tell you what I have done. Okay, so I kept all the environment variables in my env file, so you can see all the password, all those things are inside my env file, which it is located it along with my app.js. Okay, so here is my parent folder. Inside that there is a controller, middlewares and models, all those things. Okay, so I have seen a lot of students making mistakes such that they are actually opening their project from here using either live server or using that based on the path. Okay, it might work in your system, but it will not work properly in your server. Okay, so in order to avoid that mistake, you need to serve your index files also from your backend. Okay, so we already talked about the env. Okay, so you can see in my app.js, I'm actually using my port here. So for that, actually, I used a library called .env and I made that configuration. So once I have done, actually, I can access all the things I have given in env. So whatever it is, website and all the data keys, all the things. Okay, so I am getting this port. You can see. I'm getting my port. Yeah, here you can see using process.env along with the name which I have given in the env. I can get this port here. So whichever the port I have given. So if I want to change my port, I just need to go to my env and I just need to change my port number 3000 to 4000 or whatever it is. Okay. So basically you need to change. Maybe you are actually giving, if I give 3000 here, it will work. Okay. But the best practice is you will get from your env and you will give here. Okay, so once it is done, okay, so the next thing is, you can see you might have kept your index file separately. Okay, so what I have done, if you are following that, that's also okay, but I'm just sharing what are the thing I have done so far. Okay, so here you can see I kept all my html file. I only have few files, html file, so I kept in my views. Okay, and all the JS files and all the CSS and all the images I actually kept in a public folder because I want to make this as a static. Okay, so let me start from the first thing. So in the app.js, I have different routes and for the passing the data. Okay, so I kept another router in order to uh, send my index file also from my backend. I'm not actually opening my files like this. Okay, I'm not doing like this. Instead of that, what I'm going to do, I'm created a router. Okay, and I have a router for my all main pages. Okay, it is actually consists of slash home, and if nothing is came here, I will actually get return a error page. Okay, you can see, and I have inside my controller, you can see I have a main page. Here actually I'm sending my home html and as well my error page as well. Okay, so right now, let me run my project first, so it will be easier. And one more thing I want to mention, don't keep your all the consoling which you are used to for the debugging purpose, don't keep that inside your, either comment that out. Okay, otherwise just remove that once you've done all the debugging. Okay, otherwise what will happen, if you faced any error as well, it will not properly show on your terminal. Okay, right now you can see my terminal is pretty neat, right? So it is actually showing that the maintenance mode, it is a warning. Okay, apart from that there is nothing. You can see my server is running 3000. You can keep like this as well. So once your SQLi syncing is done, you can console something like whichever the port you are running, so you will get an idea. Okay, so my server is running right now in the local host. Okay, let me open my project in browser. So here you can see my project is running on localhost 3000 slash home subroute slash home. All right. So if I go to inspect element and if I filter that only into doc and if I refresh, you can see I'm sending my all the HTML data from my backend for this call, for this get request. Okay, if you use that postman as well, you can see instead of other data, JSON data, it is actually sending HTML for this get request. All right. So you might have done differently. I have seen a lot of students either using VS Code live extension or live server, or they are actually copying that entire path. Okay, so I will show you that as well. So if you want, you can copy your actual path. So let me copy that path, and if I come back to my browser, if I paste over here, so you can see still actually I can access my HTML page from here itself. Okay, but this will not work properly while you are deploying your project in server. Okay, so make sure that you are running your project like this only. Okay, basically you need to send your HTML data from your backend. That's what you need to do. Okay, from some way or another way. Okay, you don't need to follow the exact way that I have followed. Okay, but basically you need to send your HTML file from your backend. Okay, so here you might have a confusion. So right now I have sent my HTML file. So how can I actually access all the CSS and the images and all other things? Okay, the JavaScript file as well. Okay, JS file. So for that, actually I have basically what I have done, I created a public file. I made that public folder as a static. Okay, so you might have already created a static folder, but you don't know, so you might have doesn't care about that much. Okay, so what's the basic purpose of this static folder? So you are serving, okay, whichever the folder you want access in your server, you are actually put that. So I have put my CSS, images and JS in my public folder, and I made that public folder static. Okay, so once I go back to my browser, you can see when I go to source, here you can see in localhost 3000, all the folder which I have served in my public folder is available over here. Okay, so if I remove that static, it will not be available over here. Okay, so that's why I'm making that folder static. Okay, once you have made that static folder, you can simply assume that's the base folder or root folder of your server. Okay, you can serve all the CSS and images based on that static folder. Okay, so I will show you that as well. So when you go to my home HTML, so here you can see I have attached my logo. So what I have done, I'm assuming that my public folder is static or base folder. So I'm actually going inside that images, and after that I'm getting that logo. Okay, so here in my CSS, similar way, I'm going inside that public folder here slash CSS, then main CSS. So I'm actually able to access my CSS as well. Okay, so once you are serving your HTML file from your backend, you need to do similar kind of things. So in my JS as well, I'm going slash JS folder. Inside that folder, in home.js is my JavaScript file. So I attached that as well. Okay, so you can do kind of similar way. Okay, so there are few advantages as well. Okay, so if you served your HTML file from your backend, okay, if I go to my JS file, so let me open my public JS and home. Okay, so you can see I don't want to give. So if I make any Axios call, so let me. Yeah. So here it is Axios call for my sign up. Okay, so here you can see I'm not giving that entire address. Okay, I'm just giving the relative path. Okay, so since your program is running on the base URL of 3000 localhost, it will fetch that URL and it will call a request through that using that base URL. Okay, so you don't even need to give. So once you use this call for the AWS server, so even if your IP address is different, it will call based on that. So you don't even want to change anything in this code. Okay, so that's an advantage. So when I go to my main, so I have also making a lot of calls over here. So you can see I'm actually purchasing premium and setting up my profile. Okay, so I will show you few things. So you can see I have a add expense. Okay, so the relative path is given expense slash add expense. Okay, so let me open my project. So let me, so anyway I will open my inspect element in the right hand side, so that, so here is network all. So I filtered only that uh, fetch request. Okay, so let me sign in first. So since I'm changing my page, it will fade away quickly, but anyway, look over here. So when I click on sign in, you can see that's actually working. Okay, and there are few other calls also happening. I am checking the current user, so you can see the preview. I'm sending the data from my backend. If you go to the headers, you can see actually the request is happening from my localhost 3000 user current user. So I'm also let me open my actual deployed website as well. So I deployed here slash home. Let me sign in here as well. So I don't know whether I created or not. Okay, so the password is different. Okay, so if I open here in my actual website which I already deployed, so if I go to inspect, so here you can see in network. Okay, the same call, Axios call is happening over here as well, but for the same code here the base URL is different. Okay, so you just need to give that relative path. It will automatically fetch the base URL, so it will be very easy for you to work with the deployment. Okay, so make sure that your code is also changed like this. Okay, so that's an advantage. You don't even want to mention anything. Okay, and what are the things else you need to do? I have created another variable called website over here. Okay, it is for, I am actually using this website for one purpose only. I am actually sending mail for forgot password. So let me open that as well. So yeah, I'm actually sending a mail. Okay, in that mail I have HTML content. Okay, so I'm attaching a button in order to reset a password. So that button should contain that base website, right? So it will not access the base URL because the base URL will be different over there. You are opening your Gmail, so base URL should be different. So you need to provide your website as well over here. Okay, so once you are deploying, what are the only thing you need to change? You are only working on the env only. All other things are same for your local host. So once you can see, let if I remove this comment and if I commented this, I can simply copy all the env variable into my AWS server. That project will work over there as well. Okay, so initially change your entire project like this. Okay, if you have any doubt you can comment. Okay, or you can contact me directly. Okay, so make sure that your project look like this. Okay, so at least do the necessary things, otherwise you will face difficulty. Okay, and make sure all the password, all the credentials are correct. Okay, once you have done all those things, your deployment journey will be easy. Okay, so thank you so much guys. So see you in the next video.